Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So it's a beautiful Saturday morning, but Bitcoin is still not moving. But that's okay because its next move can mimic something that I'm about to show you in this stream. And it is going to be absolutely huge. So, what move is this? Let's take a look. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media, which is important because sometimes that gives some good information on there. And also follow the brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. New content every single day. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. We're trying to hang in there. It's another day after sleeping it off. Okay, I know a lot of fear last night. But Bitcoin is now just hovering around 36,000. Seems to have no volume whatsoever. But, you know, the altcoins that sold off so much so over last week, little bit of recovery. There's a few that's actually in the green and a few that's in double digits today. But overall, it does seem like a lot of people are just waiting. Just holding. And there's nothing wrong with holding. But I've always said, you know, no one knows where bottom is. No one knows where top is. The best way to do it is just to have patience. That's number one. Number two is DCA, right, if you can. So I did a poll last night, very late. Are you buying, selling, or holding? And it does not surprise me that most are holding, which is why there's very little movement right now. People are just waiting to see what's next, right? I get that. Very little of you guys, over 7,000 votes, very little of you guys voted that you're selling, you know, and at this point, selling just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even though I know a lot of people have been thinking about it. Should I sell? Is the market going to go down even more? I get it. But I'm glad to see that very little amount of you guys, at least that's following me, is considering that. And 35% of you guys are buying, taking advantage of the beautiful opportunities, the low prices that's out there. Right? I'm glad to see that. But overall, not a very surprising thing. Now, if this was like 55% saying selling, well, that would be surprising. But I know most of you guys that have been following me over the years or even over the last few months know that, yes, it could be scary. Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, right? But the way to win at a game of Bitcoin and crypto is to have patience, DCA, and HODL. And those are really the three things you need to worry about. And plus, buying a dip if you can, right? So before I want to show you what this next leg could be, a surprising figure that may be warming up to Bitcoin. And that is Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff, the biggest Bitcoin bear there is today, I would say. I don't really know anyone else that bashes Bitcoin as much as he does. He actually said a not so bad tweet about Bitcoin. It's curious that Bitcoin has held up so well around the 36K mark. My guess is there's a concerted effort by large holders to prop up the price. Judging by the continuous carnage in every stock related to crypto, and not just that, I won't get to that in a little bit, perhaps whales are selling those stocks to buy more Bitcoin. Well, hey, there's no doubt. There's a lot of whales buying Bitcoin. There's a ton of whales buying Bitcoin, right? And despite the fact that the crypto-related stocks, or just stocks in general, let's not forget NASDAQ and tech overall, right? Bitcoin is still holding relatively well. Right? And that's because it hasn't formed a new low for 2022 yet. We're actually still at the third lowest point. So we haven't broken into new territory for 2022. And Bitcoin does seem like whenever there's mass panic selling in NASDAQ and U.S. markets, right? Bitcoin sometimes, yes, follows it, but other times it remains steady. And that's because I do believe there is a large amount of holders that's propping up the price. And there's a large number of whales that are buying. And I'm going to show you both in a little bit. But anyways, bottom line is, this is not so negative. So maybe Peter is coming around, and maybe if Bitcoin continues to hold and even recovers while the rest of the markets dumps, he'll finally concede that Bitcoin is a store of value and one of the greatest store of values there is. Because you can't say the same thing about his favorite precious metal, gold, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Now, I did mention about the stock selling off, right? And someone made this correlation or put the two together, and I really enjoy it, so I want to show you guys. But you know how Senator Warren is not a fan of Fidelity because they are going to allow people to buy Bitcoin with their 401k, right? And according to her, investing in cryptocurrencies is risky, a speculative gamble. And we are concerned that Fidelity would take these risks with millions of Americans' retirement savings. Okay. But here's the thing. This is what's looking like right now. So every single sector, technology, financial, healthcare, communication, consumer, industrials, real estate, energy, defense, utility, basic material, right? So if you think crypto is the only speculative asset, well, think again, because stocks are they're not doing any better right now, okay? Everything is suffering right now. So you can't just say, well, crypto is dangerous, but everything else is good, but it's really not. It's really not, right? And, you know, we do have certain stocks like Netflix that's down 75%, right? So bottom line is, whatever Elizabeth Warren is trying to say about crypto, right, it is wrong. Yes, there's a lot of speculation out there, right? But if you truly understand some of the projects in crypto, you realize that people are not just gambling. People are not just betting. They actually truly understand or believe in the founder's vision and believe in what the company or project will become in the future, right? And, of course, let's not forget this Web 3.0 initiative that have just started, just like investing in some of these tech companies when they were still out of their garage back in the 80s and 90s, right? So it's not just all speculation. It's just a lot of educated people also that truly believe in what they're holding, and they will continue to invest in it forever, right? And Fidelity offering Bitcoin, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But yeah, you used to have naysayers, all right? You used to have naysayers. All right, anyways, moving on. So, are there positive news? Of course there is. There's positive news everywhere. You just have to look and pay attention. For example, those pesky Bitfinex whales that sometimes sell off and manipulate the market, causing markets to go down, right? But sometimes you could see their pattern and see their accumulation. Actually, you could see that the blue line, the Bitcoin longs accumulation, has been spiking up, despite the fact that Bitcoin has been going down, right? So what does that mean? That means those pesky whales are starting to accumulate once again, and accumulate even more, because maybe they have accomplished their mission, driving people out with their liquidations and driving fear out there, making people think that we will never recover. Yet they continue to stock up when things are low. And I've been saying that. Why do whales drive things down? Why do they cause mass panic? So they can accumulate more. And they buy when things are cheap, right? So this kind of shows you there's a big spike of Bitfinex whales that's buying. Now, what about that pattern? Well, someone else looked at, well, what happened? What happened before and what happened now? Remember, back in 2020, a lot of you guys lived through that, back in 2021, when Bitcoin fell down to 28,000, it did seem like it was just not going to move, that it was never going to move, right? Guess what? It did. It stayed at that 28,000 for a long time, and people were just giving up. thinking that, well, Bitcoin is going to go down to 20,000. Here, this is, basically zoomed in right here, right? Several months, we did up and down, no movement. And for the final finality, you could see that Bitcoin dropped down even more volume. And it seemed like, okay, this was going to be the point where Bitcoin was going to finally break through 30,000 and head lower, and it was done. It was done. And right at that breaking point, that's when Bitcoin started up and up and up and up, right? So you could see at that point, all seemed like was lost, basically. That's what whale manipulation sometimes does. Makes you feel like there's just no coming back. There's just absolutely no buying, and we will never recover. And that's when we went on one of the greatest runs back up to 69,000, right? So if you look at that pattern, yes, and then you look at, well, this is where we are now. And you can see that, the two is actually looking very, very similar to 2021, 2022, 2021, 2022, right? So are we in one of those times where, again, the whales have driven most retail out, have driven so much fear, and now people are starting to give up? And maybe just like in 2021, that is when we flip, when it seems like all is lost and there's nothing good for Bitcoin and it can't ever come back. Maybe that's when we see that sudden reversal, just like 2021, right? So is the pattern, is it mimicking what happened in 2021? It certainly feels like it. I was streaming in 2021. Most of you guys were with me in 2021. I remember those days. It was horrible. Horrible. Feels just like now. I mean, we're not too far off from it, but at 36,000, we're still 8,000 more than that 28,000 low that we hit in 2021. And it felt bad. It felt bad. And everyone was being bearish. And I told you guys, stay the course, believe in Bitcoin, have patience, DCA and HODL. Same message as now. And we got through it, and we will get through it this time also. All right. Now, something else that may be pretty good, and that's from this TA perspective. If you look at, since going back to 2021, since that 28,000 low, right, you could see that Bitcoin has fallen quite a lot over the last year or so, but it's been forming this rising channel, or you could say higher lows, right? And even with yesterday and today's low point, we are still on that trend line. We still have not actually really broken through. And again, if history repeats, well, it'll be pretty fantastic, because every time Bitcoin has hit this trend line, it went on a pretty tremendous recovery afterwards, right? So are we going to see that this time again? Maybe. I mean, Bitcoin has been so oversold over the last few months, right? Just like 2021. Or we go get that bounce? Well, I think it's around the corner. I know I've been saying that, but I do think it's around the corner. And this is all combined with all the metrics I've been showing you guys, right? All the metrics I've been showing you guys have all been positive, and metrics showing Bitcoin reaching all-time highs in so many categories. So, can this happen? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. All right. Now, what about anything else? Well, there's other good news too. There's always good news if you're paying attention. Well, there's this, DXY, right? Well, this is actually not what I wanted to get to, but this is also something to pay attention to and could be good news. The DXY is still hovering around that 103 mark, yet it has not broken through. It has not started to make a next leg up. So it does seem like a DXY is topping out. And whenever DXY tops out, that's a pretty good thing for Bitcoin. Again, something to pay attention to, but the DXY is very, very, very high. And it does seem like it's kind of stalled there. And if that's the case, that would be tremendous also for investments like Bitcoin and crypto. Now, this is what I want to get to. besides all the metrics, besides all the charts, the similarities, the models, right? The growth of Bitcoin is still tremendous. So we know that Mexico, they've been thinking about adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. No, not balance sheet, but making Bitcoin legal tender. Well, the president of Mexico just met with the president of El Salvador. You know, despite whatever else they're talking about, you know he's asking him about Bitcoin. You know he's been asking him about, well, how's this project of yours? How's volcanic Bitcoin mining going? How is it for your citizens, right? You know they're talking. And it could lead to a big, big announcement in the future, too. I mean, there's already senators and people within Mexico that wants to make Bitcoin legal tender. Why not, right? Why not? And if you look at this is a list of everyone else that's thinking about making Bitcoin legal tender or has made it or is starting to embrace Bitcoin. So the growth of Bitcoin from adoption standpoint is also growing by leaps and bounds right now. Leaps and bounds. So again, something else that we need to pay attention to because this is not slowing down. Bitcoin it's like a genie out of a bottle, cat out of the bag, right? You just can't stop it. It's only going to get bigger. Despite what the price is doing, from a global adoption standpoint, it's still growing. And Argentina is also another country that's thinking about, making Bitcoin legal tender. 3 out of 4 Argentinians are willing to purchase crypto for investing or saving purchases. Why not? When their fiat currency is being hyperinflated to nothing. Of course, right? So, bottom line is this. Bitcoin, I know it's kind of scary, not doing much, a lot of global things happening, but when it comes to Bitcoin, there's so much goodness that's happening, right? That's why I stay bullish, I remain bullish, and hopefully you guys do too. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A. Rohit says, check oil prices pumping and pumping. I think gold is also pumping. I can smell new war coming. Well, I think a lot of people are trying to anticipate what Russia is going to do on the 9th. It's like victory day. Jeff, thank you for that. Hopefully you're not going to have any more problems in the future. But yeah, I think people are just anticipating what's going to happen. Oil is going up because there's going to be a major shortage, especially for Europe, because Russia insists on countries paying for oil in rubles, and they don't want to. So are they just going to get cut off completely? Maybe. The Saudis said they're going to increase oil output a little bit. U.S. is going to increase oil a little bit, but I don't know if it's enough to make up for the lack of oil from Russia. So that kind of makes sense. So oil is going up, right? Does that mean it's going to lead to a war? Well, there's a war going already. Does that mean it's going to lead to World War III? I don't think so. But, something to pay attention to, no doubt. China's going to invade Taiwan. No, China has their own problems right now with COVID and stuff. I think they're going to have to get all that under control first. I think Dark Horse says, I think you could literally buy any top 100 project and still make money in the long run with the exception of stablecoins. I generally, I believe that's true. But there are some in the top 100 that will fall off. You'll probably still make money, but, it always happens. There's a rotation, and certain projects are stronger than others. But that is true. Over a long haul, if you're holding and DCAing for several years, that is true. Any news on Avalanche? None recently. Let's see if I did anything. Crypto Butts, welcome, new member. Japan is the next opponent for Russia. Alex, you just making stuff up now. I don't know what you're talking about, but Bitcoin dominance still holding at 41.5, although that has jumped up quite a bit, but still lower than the 42 something that we've seen before. But there are a lot of red, but you know, that means there's a lot of golden opportunities out there. Let's see what else. You deserve 10 million plus subscribers. I hope one day. It's hard to grow a channel when the markets aren't doing so well, but I stay strong, and I hope you guys do too. And together we'll get through this. Can Solana go down to $50? I mean, Bitcoin has to be below 30,000, maybe 25,000 or 20,000 for that to happen. It's not impossible, but I would say at this point it's unlikely. Let's just put it that way. Unlikely. Terra's price is nice right now. I do think so too. I actually wonder why Terra actually sold off so much, because it was holding right in the 80s and sold to 70s. But generally speaking, I do see that quite often where Terra like sells off and then it recovers right back up. So actually that's looking like a pretty attractive buy right now. So whales could buy an OTC market. It doesn't affect the price. Does that mean they could dump on exchanges to affect the price? Yes, they could. But it's a risk because there's only so much that you could buy in the OTC market. You have to have a seller in the OTC market, right? So if you're willing to do that, let's say you bought everything in OTC and you sell on the exchanges, right? You're harming yourself. You're harming yourself because not only are you driving the price down, but let's say you want to buy back and you go back to the OTC market and there's no one else that's going to sell it back to you. So, right? So there's a risk there. So I'm sure it's been done before, but it's not consistent where you can always expect to buy $1 billion, dump it on the market, and then buy back another $1 billion OTC market. It's not guaranteed. I'm going to see Doctor Strange tonight. Unfortunately, the more I think about that movie, the more I dislike it. It's actually, in recent times, in terms of all the Marvel films, that one is actually the most disappointing one. I hate to say it. I expected so much more. I thought it would be so much deeper than it is because there were so many fan theories out there and what they were going to do and all this stuff. And I'm not gonna ruin it, but overall, you find out within the very first 10 minutes or 20 minutes who the villain is, and it's not who you think. And I honestly think it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then plus, all this stuff that I thought was going to happen didn't happen. So I was actually quite disappointed with the film. I'm actually surprised on Rotten Tomatoes, the ratings, the critics' rating was like 78 or something. I thought it would be lower than that after watching it. Should I sell my Cadena? No. Why would you? You tell me. If you think you have a good reason, tell me then. Do you think World War III could be the black swan for BTC? I personally don't think so. I think black swan will come by better, more robust technology. No, I don't. I disagree with you there. I think it's the opposite. If there is a World War III, a real World War III, and there's a real chance that humanity is going wiped out, that will be black swan for BTC. That will be black swan for all investments. Everything would crash to near zero. Rightfully so, because if everyone's going to die, what's the point of having any kind of investments? Black swan is not going to come by with more robust technology because it already exists. You could argue Ethereum is more robust technology than Bitcoin. You could argue Solana is more robust technology than Bitcoin, but doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to go away. They're built differently. They're not even competing in the same realm. So I kind of disagree with you there. Mike, are there OTC market for other crypto? I'm sure there is. It's just there's probably not as many whales that's selling them. Crypto ban in India. Are you sure? Like every single month or 2 months, you hear about crypto ban in India. Then it's not banned. Then it's banned. Then it's not banned. Tiberius, don't be ruining it for anyone. I know you saw it, but don't ruin for anyone else. Do you think ApeCoin's rock bottom price? Do you think this is, or and most other altcoins? I don't know. I think ApeCoin, you know, they shot up obviously to the moon, right? Because of the other deed or other side land auction. So they've sold off now, but they sold off more because of the market weakness, and so have so many others, right? I do think that they're still going to figure out what to do with that in the future. There's going to be staking and other things coming. But honestly, things are just so low right now. I can't guarantee that this is the bottom, you know, local bottom, but there's just a lot of supporting arguments, supporting metrics, supporting models that indicate that this is at bottom or near bottom, right? But of course, no one could time it. So that's why I just don't try to time it. I don't try to say, okay, I'm going to buy exactly at this point. If I'm going to buy, I just think, okay, well, if something's down 20%, that's a pretty attractive buy. Something's down 40%, that's a pretty attractive buy. So I put in a little bit, dollar cost average over the long haul. But obviously on projects that I believe in, not just any random projects, right? Not like, okay, if XRP is down 20%, I'm going to just go buy XRP because I don't believe in XRP. Why would I do that? But I do believe in Terra, and if it's down like 10% for a day, well, I'm like, okay, that's pretty attractive, right? So you have to understand what you're DCAing into. You can't just DCA into any random project. Mohammed, my feelings are mutual for the film. Yeah, I expected so much more. I thought there would be so much. And I want to say more, but I can't because I don't want to ruin for anyone. But I mean, I expected so much more, and it turned out to be not a whole lot. Peter Schiff is attention. I'm going to skip out that. Well, yeah, of course. Peter Schiff only talks about Bitcoin just for attention because he knows he's going to get 5,000 likes or 10,000 likes or whatever comments, right? But, you know, honestly, I think Peter understands he just can't turn the corner. He has to stay bearish or trollish against Bitcoin because that's what he does, right? Do I still like that? I do. 7-day spoiler rule. After that, open conversation. I think that's a pretty good rule. I'll start talking about it in 7 days. I love Doge. I mean, Doge is actually surprising. One of the ones that's up today for some reason. Doge trying to climb back up in top 10. And Sheeb is not too far behind. Rohit, I appreciate that. Movie released around the world on separate dates. That's true. Doge is the future internet money. I don't know about that. All right, guys. I'll let you go. Overall, you know, Bitcoin's still hovering about that 35,900, 36,000. Yeah, we had a pretty bad drop over the last week or so. I realize that. But you know what? I remain bullish on Bitcoin, right? A lot of metrics, indicators, models, a lot of adoption, right? That's still showing Bitcoin is the future, is strong, and will recover. And I honestly believe that. So I am here, and I will stay here. I'm not going to be wish-washy or panic selling. No, that won't do me good, or it won't do any of you guys good. So smash the like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm planning on making another shorter video today that I think I'm gonna put on the Clips channel. But there's more stuff on the Clips channel also, and I may make one for tonight. But I don't plan on streaming tonight. Maybe, maybe not, but most likely not. But anyways, you hit that notification bell to get notified, so make sure you do so. And last question, Chip CJ asks, is Ben Simmons the XRP at NBA? That's a good question. That's a good question. I'll let you guys decide. Here, take a look.
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.